All right, so we know that our player can take damage. So let's really just kind of review. I know that hopefully these don't get too annoying, but here we are, start game. I'll select TJ this time. We adjusted our platform and say Control Shift C so we can bring up our console. Boom, you can see that our player is getting hurt. And we got a cool mechanic where the enemy falls and dies or is gone. And we're going to have to fix that scripting so that they don't just keep floating forever nebulously in this Unity environment that like when it hits a certain point, that object gets destroyed. And that will be for another video. But because what we want to do in this video is create the heads up display. So let's go to level 01 here. And I was trying to think of keeping this simple, and then our RPG will do more advanced coding things like maybe we'll use some design patterns. But which we are in here. And what I'm going to try to do is create a whole precursor video series that just explains those basically and how it relates to the games we're doing. But for now, just bear with me. And if something doesn't make particular sense, let me know. I'll make another video to sort of really clarify that. Anyway, so back to the point here. We don't really have a UI, right? We have a mushroom that's a 2D object, but if what we want to really have in here is a UI, and then we want to go to canvas, and inside of this canvas, this empty canvas this is really, I'll hit F to focus here. This is like a canvas you would paint on, but we're going to paint with UI elements. And for now, we're going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to right click on here and I'm just going to go to UI and I'm going to make a slider. Now, what's cool about the slider is you see that it has this max value here. I can set this to 100, or in code, what we'll do is we'll actually take this player health amount that's in the player health here, and we'll just automatically, through code, take max health and we'll update max value. And then the value, as it moves, we can change the slider. So here's the fill area down here. You can see that fill area has a color. So as we're getting hit, that fill area will turn red. So like here's our slider. I move that value again. Let's see. You'll see as we're getting hit, that value will go down. So let's go ahead and make sure that we're selecting the slider at the highest point. I'm going to hit T, and I'm just going to bring that up a little bit like this. Maybe expand that. The other thing I want is, as I'm scaling this, notice that that thing is not scaling with my scene size. I want to make sure that it scales with screen size. So now when I move it, you can see it shrinks as our game shrinks. So if we're playing this on mobile, I also don't think I need that little nib. It's this little handle here. So I can just turn off the visibility or delete it. I'm going to have to play with it a little bit so that we're not always seeing that little red. And I think I have to do that in code by making it like -1 or something. But anyway, let's put that there. And then I'm going to import in a new asset briefly. And we've already covered that. So I'm just going to import in this art, the concept art folder I have here. And it's just going to be in a heart. And that indicates that this is like our health bar. Just wanted to show you really quick how the graphics looks in Photoshop. And honestly, it looks pretty complicated, but it really isn't. Like this character, I pretty much made all of it out of these fill tools. So for example, you could see here's an ellipse and then it has a fill color and we could do black. And then that's really the eye. And then on top of it, I made another ellipse for that white circle. And then you just kind of drop a bunch of them. I mean, and then you hit Control E inside your layers. Oh, sorry, you have to make a new layer and then Control E to flatten that out. And then there's your eyeball. So I really do want to make an art series on how to create vector art and characters and all that good stuff. But just so you could see this, like, it's really just a bunch of lines and strokes and stuff like that. And then this black line was actually made by an outer stroke, which is here, I'll add this here. And then I just collapse it all down. So like, for example, like you can, go blue here. And then you can select outside, inside, or whatever, and you can adjust the size. So, I mean, they're just really tricks. And then with a bunch of tricks together, you end up with something that looks pretty cool. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and save this out as a PNG because I have this transparent background. And then with that said, I'll import it in and I'll show you how to place it next to our health bar. So here's my heart for my health bar. And I'm really just going to grab this and I'm going to drop it on top of my slider. And then with that said, I'm going to hit F to focus. Come on. And with it selected, I'm going to hit T and just bring it down like this, something like this. And just position it next to my health bar or next to my slider here. Now, the thing is, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, by dragging it in, it became a sprite, and I really want it to be a UI element. So just that's one way to do it. Another way is just to right click and go to UI and then just add an image element here. And that'll give me a little bit more, let's hit F to focus on that. That'll kind of leave it in this realm of being an actual image element. And then inside of here, for the source image, I can grab my health bar and drop it in there. And then I just adjust it like that. So hopefully this signifies health. Hopefully it's not too ugly in the sense that like you really want your health bar, your UI to be clean, you know? So let's hit Control S to save this. And honestly, we want to reuse this health bar over and over again. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, our slider, I'm going to rename it health bar. And once we're done with it, we'll make a prefab out of it. I think that's it for the actually creating the graphic. Let's go ahead and create the script. So inside of our scripts folder, I'm going to make another folder in here. And I'm going to create this, I'm going to make this folder called UI. And this is going to be all of the scripts that affect any sort of user interface. So I'm going to right click on this UI script. I'm going to go to create and then C# script. I'm just going to name this health bar. And I think I'm just going to attach it to my health bar itself. And let's go ahead and do that. And then, so we have it here. And remember, our health is attached to a player that spawns into the level. Actually, so let's bring this in here. What I'm thinking is, inside of player health, we have this current health that's updating, but we really should have a method that is always checking for, or always storing the current health so we can get that current health. So I have this update function. We could write it from scratch. If you have this just kind of floating here, just reuse it. But I'm going to say this is going to return an integer, and I'm just going to call this method get current health. And what we're just going to return is the current health. Because remember, our current health is constantly being updated as we're touched. So I'm just going to return current health here. And when we call this method, let's make this public too. When we call this method from our health bar, all it's going to do is get whatever the current health is. Remember, we're always updating the health every time we get hit. So let's go ahead and script out our health bar. It's going to be a pretty easy script. The first thing we need is we need our health bar. So I'm just going to do private slider, because remember our health bar is a slider, and I'm just going to call this. I mean, if you want, you can go with this naming convention. See how it automatically added it. Private slider. Now, the reason we're getting this error is because we need using Unity engine.ui. And you'll notice now we have access to the API in that library. And then we want to get private and then player health. And then same thing, player health. Cool. And then inside of start here, we'll do slider underscore slider equals get component, and then we want slider. And so because remember this script is attached to the health bar and our slider is on this health bar, so all this is doing is grabbing that. And if you want, like I said, I like doing this here. I'll do make that public, let it update, and then you can see when we press play there's nothing in there, but when we press play it'll grab that slider. So if it helps for your own sanity, and then later you can make these private. And then let's do in start game object player equals, and then game object find with tag player. And then because this gives us access to the player in the scene, what we can do is we could start saying, okay, If, I love these null checks. Player is not equal to null. We'll have player health variable here, which is this guy right here, equals get component. And is that right? No, it equals player. Yeah, there we go. I'm like, wait, how are we going to get a component from there? So our player has if you recall, it has a player health script. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that player health script and I'm going to store it in this player health variable here. And so we want to play with the slider now. So we're going to say slider dot max value, and that's this value here. Remember, we have this max value. So if I set this to 0 here, I want this max value here to always be equal to player health and dot max health. Now, if I go to player health here, remember we created a variable up top called max health and it's storing 100. That's what's being loaded into this slot right here. So let me make this like 10 just to show you that's working. So we press 10 here. If I press play, actually, I don't know if our character is not loading in the scene. I don't think it's going to update at all. So this probably a lot of this is going to have to happen when we test our game. I mean, we could throw somebody in there. Let's see. Throw Theo in there, and he's got 100. And then let's grab our health bar. Press play. Yeah, see how it auto defaulted to 100? And he's pushing him down. But we're not updating that value, but you can see he's down to 90 here. So let's get all that stuff in there. So we're just, we're still kind of scripting this out. So let's go slider.value. And you might be like, well, what's value? Remember, that's this right here. And we're going to make that value equal to player health dot current health. I'm just going to copy this line here. Dot current health. Get current health, because we have that method in there that's always getting the current health. And that's just at the get-go. Actually, you know what? I want to set it to not this method. Let's just set it to this. Let's make this public. And then what we'll do is we'll call it as an update later. So let's just do this for now. So right at start, we're just getting current health, which is equal to 100. Because this might update. This could cause issues if we're getting the current health and it's at a different time, even though this only runs once. All right, so here it is. Here's our update function. We do slider underscore slider dot value. And here's where we're always checking and we're making it equal to player health. And then we're just going to get the current health. This method here. Remember, all this method does here is it just returns the current health. And let's make sure we save this and let's press play. And let's see, at the moment of truth, we are, oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, these are kind of flipped. Do I make this minus? I'm trying to think now. The fill area, which is, this should be gray. Yeah, because it's moving across. And then this area is the handle. This is the background. So this should be red. Now when I press play, yeah, that's how it works. Boom. 90, 80, 70, 60. I'm trapped. We're going to have to play with that too. Let's see. We got a health bar going, 90. I'm going to escape. And I'm not very good at my own game. All right, so boom, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, Oh, I respawned over here. Now here's the problem. I'm dead, right? My health bar has already died. So what we have to do is in player health here, we have this respawn player position. Let's make another method called void, I don't know, reset health or something. And what we'll say here is we'll grab this. If current health is equal to 0, current health, I don't know, you could set it to 100 or something, or you could, I mean, whatever you want. And you could make this a public variable called like reset health. And really what I'm saying, what I'm doing here is I'm saying, okay, we're restarting the player. Let's give them something. So maybe we'll do 50%. So wherever we call respawn player, we'll set health to 0 here, and then we'll call respawn player. I mean, we could do it like this, where we first reset the health, and then from here, we call this, and then got a little bit of jumping around, but let's see what that does. Did I miss a semicolon? See here. Return current health, public, and get current health. Because of this, right? Oh, you know what? Public and get current. Oh, I by accidentally entered a thing there, like a curly brace. Yeah, so I mean that was the coding mistake on my part. All right, let's comment this out really quick and see if it works. Because we're going to call reset health, and then from reset health, we're call respawn position, just kind of like the order of operations. And then what I'm going to do is just so we're not spending too much time watching, we'll go 50 here. So let's press play. Boom, 50. Boom. So you see we started at 50. Actually, let's just make this 75. And that way you can tell, boom, 75. Then we restart at this position with 50% health at least. I think that's good for this video. What we'll do next week in class is we're going to take a look at creating power-ups, like a jump power-up, a speed power-up, and a health system. And I think that's good for now.